Artists that come together to combine on a painting. We all work specifically with our own colors, and we all utilize those colors within our world, each with our own individuality. So when we come together, we all bring our brushes and we sit down and we compose an instrumental musical piece. And from that point, Ogre comes in and lyrically he changes the whole concept of what we actually envisioned as an understandable musical composition. We're inspired by each individual step. So with each step there's a new face to deal with, and with each step there becomes a new sort of reality, and when the lyrics get applied to it, it becomes a lot clearer to our minds as to how to finish it off and then thus lay it to rest on a Skinny Puppy album.
The lyrics are all done in the studio for the last 3 albums. They've been done in the studio. Just as the music kind of evolves around your head, it's very difficult for me to sit beforehand and work on poetry or things. I mean, that's one other thing I write, but to write it for music or for songs is ridiculous because you want to discover harmony and some sort of kind of melody, and so to discover that, it's best to have the cans around your head and just listen to the songs, and the last 3 albums have been done that way. So it captures, a period in time, and all the influences of that time are captured, and so it's no longer something that's, premeditated and maybe at times a little less real than what something that could derive out of that sort of situation where you're like dealing with things right at the moment, and those are coming down to paper and then onto tape. So.
This is why we are actually making the album, is because we can't really find the words to express truly what the album encapsulated expresses. I mean, it's very well encapsulated. The whole sort of like album has a lot of statements. It's not only from him in lyrical ways, but it's us in musical ways, and it's exploring a whole territory that is hard to verbalize. It's hard to say what is Last Rites, because Last Rites to us is such a collective expelling of our emotions and our demons and our good things and our bad things, and really to encapsulate and say, what is it? It's a mystery to us. That's why we do it. That's why we continue.
It's still changing. I mean, lyrically, it's changed from the point of conception to being something that was far more lashing out at things or lashing out at the people around me, to being something that was far more introspective and actually cutting down myself and making myself aware of the problems. And there's a story that kind of goes along with it. As a person climbing a mountain and bringing with him up this mountain all of these emotions, be they pain, guilt, happiness, all these good things, bad things, and this tall climb to this apex. And at the point of the apex, you're faced with a sharp cliff to jump off of into the abyss, or to turn around and face what you brought with you. And I mean, that's what it's turned out to be for me after repeated listings. It's still quite a mystery to me in some areas, but that general theme goes out throughout and can be applied to far greater things. And the reason I'm saying that is because press has come back to me and said, well, this applies to our decaying society. And so it makes me take a step back from it even further and say, yes, you can apply that climb up the mountain to a society or in this age of technology and how far we've gone and what we brought with us, and whether or not we should continue to jump off this cliff or turn around and face what we brought with us.
Eyes sewn, wearing glasses, dripping, tap, temple door. Locked inside, scream, scraping tooth and nail, nowhere to go. Quiet, traces, forcing light, tears, then pretend nothing blinds. Minds closed in sanctuary,
But I think the music evokes a lot of images, and I think that, like, even if Ogre was to write poetry beforehand, before going in, I think that he would be compelled to write something from the images that are evoked from the music.
Well, it could be getting easier for me because I can conceptualize that and get that in my head in different melodies, but it works best just to go in and do it.
He has a rough idea about what he wants, what sort of boundaries he wants to work within, because we write a large variety of music and quite often hand him a tape that has 25 songs on it. We actually only end up finishing 10 or 11, 13 songs, you know, and so it's really challenging. I quite often know which ones, when we finish writing, that I sort of know which ones he'll like and which ones he won't
Killing
like.
Game is a good example of something that was incredible to sing to. It took me 15 minutes to write lyrics to it. It's one of the best songs in the album.
So the way I feel about Killing Game is I almost feel like channeled energy, because I was sitting in front of the keyboards and it just flowed right out of me into the digital recorder, and I just don't even know where it came from, because I can't even play one single note of it since then. And I think that's really interesting, because with a certain sort of energy, I think that you can experience an influential spiritual type of flow that will allow for things you could never imagine to happen. You know, it's a very mystical world.
Was not quiet. Storm's fury burnt out. Now killing time. Taught the killing game. Time's taught the killing game. Herself. No. Taught the killing game first.
Now, when you guys were working on the album, was the visual, the set, the film, everything, was that all conceptualized at the same time, or how did that work?
With the live film?
Yeah.
Well, no, we went in. It was based, you know, the video for Killing Game is based loosely around the whole concept of this disembodied person. The person comes on stage at first and connects with the image on the screen, and then becomes disembodied from the image, and is left kind of a shell to be controlled in a puppet-like way by various things, be it the screen, be it certain temptations on stage, be it certain physical temptations to mutilate oneself or cut into the physical body, and then it turns to what we call the virtual reality helmet, which is right back there, for some sort of a fix or a stabilizer of sorts to kind of calm the nerves, and gets a rush off it at first, but on subsequent visits tends to absorb the serious side effects from the whole thing, and are in a various stages that breaks down the character into something that's called Guilt Man. And then the retrieval of that person and the reconnection with the character on the film, and then the subsequent breakdown, which is a surprise after that.
Passing words, distant fame. Remember trains of thought collide. No one view window, pushing faces through shots, cold glass. Smoke funny holes, exposed. I taught the killing game first. I taught the killing game first. You ain't red, tortured animal, wake up time. Beckons death upon myself. Eyes troubled, hardened, strange, no stronger feeling. Tempting motion, slows to a crawl. Places it's it's so trap. Let go, that breaks that shut. Gaze is sharpened, give it in, give it just some day. I taught the killing game.
I think the last writes is not so much definitive answer as to stay the band as much as it can create a new beginning in a lot of senses. We all die and I was born every day, and so it kind of marks the end. For me, lyrically, it marks the end of a period of talking about myself and that whole spiel.
Well, that's cool.
It's the end of it's the end and the beginning, like Ogre says, and I really feel.
But the beginning is the most
Maybe some
important
video,
part.
right?
Really feel positive about the next step.
Thanks for tuning in to Guest List. We're going to leave you with some more of Cops Shoot Cops.